Chapter 4. Harold, who do you hang around with at school? Cindy asked, trying to break the tension. Except in classes, she rarely saw Harold at Bluford. Hang around with? Harold responded, staring at the table. Nobody, I guess. I hang by myself mostly. How come? Cindy asked. Harold shrugged. Guess I just haven't found the right people. I know what you mean, Cindy said. With the exception of Jamie and Amberlynn, Cindy did not hang out with anyone else. Again, the uncomfortable silence descended. Cindy tried to think of something to ask Harold when he suddenly spoke up. Have you been sick? He asked. I haven't seen you in school as much, and I was wondering if you were okay. I'm fine, Cindy said, surprised that he noticed her absences. I was sick for a few days, but I'm better now. Cindy lied. She did not want to tell Harold her problems, especially not with Mrs. Davis so close by. Harold smiled. I'm glad you're back, he said. Feeling better, I mean. Just then, Mrs. Davis carried over a large plate of pork chops and an enormous bowl of mashed potatoes. All right, I don't want anyone leaving this table hungry, she said, filling Cindy's plate. It had been years since Cindy had eaten such wonderful homemade food. As they ate, Cindy spoke about her new job drawing cartoons for the Bluford Bugler. Well, ain't that amazing? You draw pictures that make folks laugh. Child, that's a gift. A real gift, Mrs. Davis cried. Harold was shoving mashed potatoes into his mouth as if he hadn't eaten in a week. He said. It's just a high school paper, Cindy explained. But it's kind of fun. It's the only thing I've ever done that's, special. In middle school, this one teacher saw me sketching a cartoon, and when he saw it, he laughed. He really laughed. You have got to show me your drawing, Cindy. I love to laugh, Mrs. Davis said. First thing I do when the paper comes is look at the cartoons. The front of the paper is so full of bad news. People getting shot, crime, and drugs all over the place. Lord, we need some laughter in our lives. I put my cartoons from middle school in a scrapbook, Mrs. Davis. I'll show it to you one day, Cindy promised. After dinner, Mrs. Davis embraced Cindy warmly. I'm so glad you came over tonight, Mrs. Davis said. Being hugged by the old woman was like being wrapped in a favorite warm blanket. It seemed like years since her mother had given her such a hug. As Cindy walked back to her dark apartment, her frustration with Mom returned. A mother ought to love her child more than her boyfriend, Cindy thought, especially if her boyfriend is a dog like Raffy Whitaker. Cindy wondered what she would do if Mom came home with an engagement ring. She liked the idea of running away. She could just jump on a bus and get as far from Raffy as possible. Then maybe her mother would feel guilty and miss her. But what if Mom let her run away and never bothered to find her? That was the scariest thought of all. Sitting in the quiet living room, Cindy noticed how different her apartment was from Harold's. Where the Davis living room was warmly lit and comfortable, hers seemed stark and barren. And Mrs. Davis's kitchen, neatly crowded with hanging pots and filled with the aroma of countless homemade meals, was nothing like Cindy's, a Spartan room used mainly to heat TV dinners. Recently, Mom had mentioned the need to decorate the apartment, but Cindy just rolled her eyes at the suggestion. She suspected the reason Mom even cared was because of Raffy. A few months ago, he bought a gift for the apartment, a hideous clown sculpture that now stood on the coffee table in front of her. Raffy said this gives the room character, Mom said proudly as she positioned the sculpture on the table. Cindy thought it looked like something picked up for $2 at a yard sale, but Mom treated it like a priceless object. Cindy stared at the clown. Right about now, she figured Mom and Raffi were in Las Vegas, strolling down some flashy street, seeing a hotel made to look like New York or Egypt or something. Cindy pictured Raffi, swaggering along with his ugly gold chains, his gold bracelets, and his awful leather pants. The thought that Raffi might possibly become her stepfather knotted Cindy's stomach. She leaned towards the coffee table and picked up the clown. Its face was contorted into an ugly smirk that reminded her of Raffi. Cindy imagined how good it would feel to hold it over her head and smash it down on the floor, shattering it into 1,000 pieces. Her eyes moved to the small card taped to the base of the clown. To my number one lady, Lori, from Ramblin' Raffi. Cindy's hands trembled as she set the clown back down. Someday, when she knew for sure that her mother did not love her, she would smash it. All that kept her from hurling the clown onto the floor was the fading hope that Mom still cared about her. Would she be happier without me? Cindy asked herself. Then Mom would be free to spend all her time with Raffi. Is that what she really wants? Cindy did not know what she would do if her fears were true, if her mother did not love her. She stared at the clown again. It appeared to grin back at her with a wicked, mocking smile. Please, Mom, come home, she said softly over and over, finally falling asleep on the lumpy old couch. Amberlynn called early Saturday morning. Cindy, you won't believe the lie Natalie Wallace is telling people. She said you went out on a date with her brother, Bobby. We just went out for ice cream, that's all, Cindy said. It wasn't a date. So, you were in his car? Amberlynn demanded. Yeah, so what? Cindy shot back. You make it sound like it's a big deal. It is a big deal, Cindy. You know what he did to Jamie? Amberlynn cried. I just can't believe you even give him the time of day after all that happened last year. Think of how upset Jamie's gonna be when she hears about this. What's she gonna be upset about? Cindy replied. She done Bobby a long time ago. Have you forgotten why? Amberlynn asked, her voice rising to a high pitch. You were there, Cindy. You remember what he did to her? I can't believe you would even... Amberlynn, all that stuff's in the past, Cindy responded with a dramatic sigh. Just let it go. Let it go? Amberlynn exclaimed. Bobby Wallace beat up one of our best friends and almost ruined her life. How am I supposed to let that go? And how can you ride around with him like nothing ever happened? He's changed, Cindy said. Bobby admitted he did bad things, but he's different now. Like your brother Royland. He's changed, hasn't he? Cindy, that's different. Royland may have gotten into trouble a few times, but he never hung out with drug dealers, and he's never beat on no girls either, Amberlynn said. Well, I think you need to mind your own business, Cindy snapped. That's what I think. Girl, you don't have to talk like that to me, Amberlynn responded. I'm just looking out for you, okay? Well, I can look out for myself. Anyway, I gotta go now, Cindy said. Mom's here. Cindy was lying, but she did not want to listen to more lecturing about Bobby Wallace. Bobby was the one reason Cindy was not totally depressed about being left alone for the entire weekend. She was not about to let Amberlynn take that away. Cindy still could not believe how nice Bobby had been to her yesterday. Could he actually like me? She wondered. She decided to head over to Bluford to watch the Buccaneers at football practice. She knew Bobby would be there. Cindy ran to her bedroom and looked for something nice to wear. She chose a pair of snug jeans and a clingy navy blue V-neck t-shirt. Bobby will like me in this, she thought. She quickly got dressed and headed over to Bluford, hoping to catch Bobby's eye. When Cindy reached the football field, the team was in a huddle. She searched to find Bobby, but did not see him right away. Then, when she saw the name Wallace on the back of a jersey, her heart started pounding. Cindy stepped onto the bleachers, hoping to get a spot where Bobby would notice her. A small crowd of spectators was gathered on the bleachers. Cindy spotted Natalie Wallace waving in her direction. "Hi," Natalie called out. "How you doing, Cindy?" "Okay," Cindy called back. Natalie had never talked to her before, but maybe now that Cindy and Bobby were friends, things would be different. Cindy walked over to where Natalie was sitting and joined her. She always thought Natalie was one of the prettiest girls at Bluford. "I like to watch my brother show off," Natalie said with a smile. Cindy could not believe that Natalie was talking to her, let alone allowing her to sit beside her on the bleachers. "You here to do the same thing?" she asked with a playful grin. "Maybe," Cindy replied, unsure what else to say. "Yep, my brother sure moves fast," Natalie said, getting up from her seat. Practice was over, and Cindy was left wondering whether she was referring to her brother on the football field or in some other way. Cindy watched as the team left the field. She hoped Bobby had seen her in the bleachers. She just had to see him. Unsure what else to do, she decided to wait for him in the parking lot. After a few minutes, Bobby came out of the school and headed towards his car. "You looked great, Bobby," Cindy said as he approached. "No wonder everybody says you're going to be a big football star." "Hey, you came to watch me practice?" Bobby replied with a look of pleasant surprise. "You're okay, girl. Come on, let's grab something to eat." Beaming, Cindy hurried towards the passenger door. She couldn't wait to talk to him. "They're having a special at Nico's Pizza Place. 2 slices for the price of—" "I don't like that place," Bobby interjected. "Too many lame fools hang out there. There's a Chinese takeout place I like. Let's go there." When Cindy got in the car, she turned to Bobby and said, "Guess what happened yesterday? Miss Abbott chose me as an artist for the Bluford Bugler. I just found out." "Really?" Bobby said. "You go to most of the football games, Cindy?" "Sometimes," Cindy answered. "Well, now that we're tight, you gotta come to all the games," Bobby insisted. "From now on, I'm gonna look for you whenever I'm on the field. Never mind those cheerleaders. Last time I seen so many dogs was at the pound," Bobby joked. "So Mr. Mitchell told me about the newspaper opening on Friday, and—" "Hey, Cindy, were you at last year's game against Lincoln? That was one of my best games." "No, I haven't been to that many games." "Well, you gotta come to every one from now on, Cindy. That's an order," Bobby said with a smile. Cindy smiled back, slightly disappointed that Bobby did not give her a chance to share her good news with him. Bobby pulled his Nissan into the parking lot of the Chinese takeout. "Do they have sweet and sour chicken?" Cindy asked. "That's my favorite. I always get that." "Yeah, but the orange chicken is what you want. That's the best," Bobby said as they entered the restaurant. Then he ordered 2 orange chicken dishes for them. He looked at Cindy and smiled. She smiled back at him weakly. Bobby certainly wanted things his way, she thought. But it was only food, and it felt nice to have him order for her. "That sounds good," Cindy responded. "I can't wait to try it." "Stick with me, girl," Bobby said. "I know where everything's happening. I got friends at all the cool places, and I know how to have fun. Trust me," Bobby said. "Hey, what time you gotta be home, Cinderella?" Cindy smiled. Nobody had ever called her Cinderella before. It made her feel special, even beautiful. For once, her name did not sound so ugly. Cindy was so delighted by the nickname that she decided to tell Bobby the truth. "Mom's gonna be gone all day. I don't have to be home early," she said. "For real?" Bobby said with a glimmer in his eyes. "Then let's have some fun." After lunch, Bobby drove to an old row home in a rundown part of town where some of his older friends lived. "Don't let the looks of the place throw you. Nothing bad happens here," Bobby explained. "This is where we come to chill out, listen to some music, dance, smoke a little weed." Cindy grew a little nervous. She had smoked marijuana once in middle school with Jamie and some others. Though a few kids seemed to enjoy it, marijuana only made Cindy feel hazy and numb. Weed was a small deal compared to other drugs. Last year, one of her classmates overdosed on heroin and almost died. Ever since, Cindy stayed far away from all drugs. As she walked up the stairs to the house, Cindy felt her heart start to pound. She worried that kids would be doing drugs and would pressure her to do them too. If Bobby smoked weed, would she have to do it too? If she had said no the way teachers always instructed, would he take her back home and never speak to her again? Bobby led her into a tiny room where sheets hung in front of the windows as makeshift curtains. Against the far wall was a rumpled, stained sofa the color of a green beer bottle. "Have a seat, beautiful," he said, gesturing towards the sofa. "I'll be right back." He smiled before disappearing into another room. Cindy was comforted by his friendly words. Bobby returned carrying a bottle of wine in one hand and 2 plastic cups in the other. "You drink wine, don't you?" he asked with a wide smile. "Sure," Cindy said. It was true she had tasted wine a few times at family meals, but she never liked it. Bobby opened the bottle and filled Cindy's cup. Cindy sipped the red wine slowly. She did not like its sharp acid taste, but she pretended to enjoy it. She knew drinking was dangerous, especially around people you don't know too well. But she wanted Bobby to think she was cool. Reluctantly, she took another tiny sip of the wine. "You scared your mom will get on your case if she finds out you were drinking?" Bobby asked. "No, she don't care what I do," Cindy replied bluntly. "She ain't never around much anyway, so I basically do whatever I want." As she spoke, Cindy wondered where her mother was at the moment, and whether she would get mad if she found out Cindy was in a strange house drinking wine with a boy. Cindy liked the fact that she was doing something that would upset Mom. In some small way, she was getting back at her for going to Vegas. Cindy grabbed the cup and took another sip. "Yeah, I know what you mean," Bobby said. "My old man, he's got lung trouble. He sits around all day sucking up oxygen. One of those tanks, you know? That and yelling for Mom to wait on him. Mom's so busy doing for him and working downtown cleaning bathrooms, she got no time to ride hard on me and that. That's what Mom does, cleans Johns." Bobby laughed bitterly, staring at the wine bottle as he spoke. "Know what, babe? I'm gonna get me some real money one of these days. Not chump change like they pay down at the car wash. Then Mom won't be cleaning no toilets." Cindy respected what Bobby said. Although she felt uncomfortable being in the house, she liked being with him. He made her feel important because he trusted her so much. The more he spoke, the closer she felt to him. "My old man," Bobby continued, "he was a mean old cuss in his younger days. I remember him coming in the house and wanting food on the table, like right now. When Mom didn't hop to it, she got it right in the mouth. She don't hold it against him, though." Bobby shook his head. "Ain't that something? She's still taking care of him today, no matter how mean he treats her. Girls today aren't like that. You get a little mean 'cause you're having a bad day, and they just walk out on you. Girls today don't know nothing about loyalty." Bobby smiled at Cindy and rubbed her cheek gently with the back of his hand. "But you ain't that kind of girl, I can tell." Just then, Cindy heard the footsteps and voices of other people. She grabbed hold of Bobby's arm. "Did you hear that?" she asked fearfully. "There's somebody else here." "Calm down, girl. Let's go see who it is," Bobby said, rising to his feet. "But it could be trouble. Maybe we should leave," Cindy said nervously. "Ain't no trouble I can't handle," Bobby replied. The voices were coming from the basement. Cindy didn't want to go down there, but Bobby did. She was not about to be left alone in that strange place, so she followed him. "Relax, you're in good hands," he assured her. Cindy wanted to believe him, but she just didn't feel safe in the old house. She wished she and Bobby were someplace else, like walking along a beautiful beach. She imagined him with his arm around her and how nice it would be to get away from the city. But her visions were shattered by the reality in front of her, that she and Bobby were heading towards a group of strangers